Good evening, folks. Look at we just got it wrong today. More so the ground conditions than the results. An awful lot of horses put in some very good runs. We were very unlucky with the likes of shedding that was carried out by a loose horse. Absolutely nothing Jordan Canavan could do about it. But that's just the look of the draw. We had a few good runs with the Henry de Bromhead mare in the first race, just beaten by, I suppose, a more experienced rival at the end of the day. But saying that, she put in a great run. Garroge O'Loughlin's horse, What's Your Status, was very unlucky. Tipped up here last night at 5-1. I thought coming into the straight we were surely on a winner, but just seemed to peck on Landon after the last, and I think that just cost him a little bit of momentum to get, I suppose, the head in front at home. As I said last night, I was predicting the ground to be soft, maybe soft to heavy in places, maybe even heavy. But credit where credit's due to the ground staff in Clonmel. They somehow managed to keep it on the good. I don't know how they did it, because it was absolutely pouring rain last night, and it was pouring rain for most of the day here. But yeah, it just goes to show the work that puts in it's second to none at the end of the day. But look, we're gonna carry on and forget about today really, and move on to Gowran Park now tomorrow. A bit of a mixed bag card, if I'm quite honest with you. There's definitely a few races in here that an awful lot of horses wouldn't really get a run anywhere else, but there's a couple of good standard races later on in the day, and hopefully we'll be able to get a few winners out of them. But first race off, 1:30. We're going to take a little bit of a chance here now and go with Hammerstein at 10-3. It's hard to trust. It's all you have to do is look at the form that it's had. It's been runner up numerous times. It's a maiden for a reason. It just doesn't seem to be able to win a race. Looking at the form wise, it's definitely the standout horse of the race. Not just the fact that Paul Townend on board, but you go back to a run in either Punchestown or Fairyhouse. Fairyhouse, it was second at 33-1 in similar ground conditions. What I'm expecting it to be tomorrow. As you might be able to hear, it's still teaming down, so whatever chance of Clonmel being good, there's absolutely no chance of Gowran being good tomorrow. I can nearly guarantee that. But it was, like I said, second at 33-1, but it was 5 lengths in front of Aramax, who subsequently went on to be a very impressive winner at the Cheltenham Festival. When you look at it that way, the reality of the fact is that a maiden hurdle beat a Cheltenham winner, but just couldn't win the race itself. But I think 10-3 is a great price. Personally, I know there's plenty of risks involved, but when you look at the form wise and the way it just handles ground conditions, it should be well and truly on the money now tomorrow. 2 o'clock, we're going to go with 1 down, 9-4. Again, when you put everything into perspective, ground conditions are going to play a big part here. This one has one national hunt flat race, also known as a bumper. I was trying to think of the name. It was ahead of Fitness to Suit, who hasn't really lived up to potential, but it was ahead of a Wexford winner, Yabo, I think the name of the horse is, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Yabo. If I'm not mistaken, from the Gavin Cromwell yard. Won in Wexford on its last run, and it's been putting up some very good performances since. It should really be. I definitely think it's well worth getting on board. The favourite here, I can't even remember who the favourite is, but for some reason or another, it turned me off it. I think it might have been the Jessica Harrington horse, actually. Yeah, that's right. It was 4th last time it ran over hurdles, but I think it was something like 15 or 20 lengths behind the winner that day, and the form hasn't really been backed up since. This one down has backed up its form 9-4 compared to, if I'm not mistaken, 5-4, 6-4 maybe. Could be in along them lines. It just goes to show the value is where the heart lies, and personally for me, I am very much drawn to this one down. Um, Now the next best of the day, the 235. We're not going to spend too much time on this one. We're going to go Tully Beg at 5-6. Um, Really, what I'm looking at is his last run, second behind the shunter. Now it was slightly disappointing for the outside world, but for anyone that was following the page, we had it tipped up that day. Very, very good run by the shunter that day, and a very credible run by this Tully Beg in behind it. Really and truly, if it progresses on, and looking what the shunter has done since, an 18 length winner in 4-1 at Punchestown, which, might I add, we tipped up the other day as well. It looks an absolute shoe in here, really. At the end of the day, this cask mate definitely looks to be the danger, providing it can run to the ability that has shown form wise with over 3 years off the track. I highly doubt it, but coming from the Noel Mead yard, you would be, I suppose, slightly aware of it more so than anything else. It is a nice price, to 6-1, but like I said, you have the 3 year layoff to overcome, and obviously it has shown some serious problems since. But as form tied up with the likes of a few Cheltenham winners, I think, and a few decent sort of horses. But this Tully Beg should be able to put things to bed, especially with race fitness under his belt. 3-10, small each way in this one here. Now we're gonna take a chance and team up with Ronan McNally here and go with Easy Cash Daleks at 18-1. The real, I suppose, thing that I'm looking at here is the form with the Real Deal the last day. The Real Deal had no form going into the book. It looked to be the second string. Easy Cash Daleks was, I suppose, played a big part of the coupe without actually running the race. But it looked to be, I suppose, interesting more so than anything else. It was well supported, but whether that was part of the coupe or not, I don't know. But if it's even in the same form and at the same, I suppose, condition as the Real Deal, it should be able to run a very big race. Obviously, when you look at form wise and everything else, you have to consider the likes of the Bene. The price actually has eluded me now at this moment of time. I don't actually know what price the Bene is, but the Bene will absolutely love the ground conditions tomorrow. It looks to be ideally suited for her. I think it's her, it's not him. But it should be well able to run a very good race, and it should be at an each way price. I'm not 100% sure, but the form on soft ground and heavy ground is second to none, and it should be able to put in a very good show, layoff or not. It should be able to run a very big race and hopefully a very big price. 345, another each way shout here. We're not going to go with Katie Brown's Effernach Fizz, currently trading around 16-1. This one has to be the feature race of the day. There's no doubt about it. It's the only one with any real sort of class about it, in my personal opinion. The rest of them are mainly handicap hurdles, handicap chases. They're not really anything to scream home and shout about. This is graded farm hurdle, a graded hurdle race more so than anything else. I think it's a grade 3 if I'm not mistaken. I could be totally wrong, but the farm ties up well with the likes of listed group races, all everything else like that. What I'm coming at here with Effernach Fizz, I was sort of half looking at Build Me Up Buttercup, and I was thinking to myself, would I back it, would I not? And to be quite honest with you, I'm not. Simply because of the fact that the way it runs in soft ground hasn't really set the world alight. Um, I would be expecting it to be better on the likes of yield and ground, maybe good to yield and possibly good in places. Soft ground just doesn't seem to bide well with this one here. When you look at the likes of the Galway form and everything else like that, it finds very little under pressure. So really and truly, you don't want to have a pacey mare in front of it, setting the pace and setting a very brisk pace, especially with soft ground. And I think that's exactly what Effernach Fizz is going to do here. 16 to 1 for me personally is a big price. She will absolutely love ground conditions. I was there the day last year or the year before. No, it was last year. She ran in Tipperary at 66 to 1. She set off in front in similar conditions as today, and she bolted up by in or around 20 lengths, with plenty of hand underneath. Adam Short knows how to ride her well. Very good jockey on board. Um, I think she could be one to pose a bit of a shock here now tomorrow. I think 16 to 1 is definitely well worth getting on each way. I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see it produce a very fine performance, especially considering it looks to be in amongst an awful lot of summer horses that will love, I suppose, better ground and everything else considering. Um, Providing now there's no non-runners, 16 to 1 could well be a lovely price each way. If there's obviously non-runners, the prices are going to diminish fairly rapidly, and with Rule 4s and everything else considered as well, it's not really ideal. But look at 16 to 1, looks to be a very nice price. Next one now at 420, we're going to go with Barn of the Dawn for the Mullins team at 5 to 1. I was sort of tied between itself and Bread and Butter for Gavin Cromwell. Bread and Butter obviously has been in serious form so far this season. Um, I'm sort of tied. I was looking at the form. It doesn't really seem to like any sort of cut in the ground. It loves a good bouncy, solid, firm ground. This Bread and Butter 3 to 1. It's potentially, I suppose, vulnerable, and I think it's well worth taking on. The likes of Barn of the Dawn, it's in tremendous form. It's got a string of 1s and 2s to its name, over the last few runs. It looks to be potentially well handicapped. It's coming from obviously the Tom Mullins now, Tom Mullins' yard, who house Princess Zoe, who is in tremendous form. The likes of Barn of the Dawn will absolutely love the ground conditions now tomorrow. It looks, I suppose, ideally set up for him, especially the fact that the Mullins camp, the Mullins clan, they're all sort of spread out evenly around, in around Gowran Park. Anyway, they're all, I suppose, scattered evenly among it. 5 to 1. It's a nice price. If you can find a market for it, maybe well worth getting on each way. At least if it places, then you get your money back. But yeah, I definitely think it's got a good run in it, and it should be well able to take high rank, or at least point a very good run now tomorrow. And 5 to 1 definitely looks to be a very nice shout. 4.55 nap of the day. We're going to go Presenting Dylan, currently trading around 7 to 4. I would highly think that this horse is going to shorten massively. I think the bookies have this price wrong here, folks. I would severely, I suppose, suggest to get on while the iron is hot, and to get on when the price is good, because you're not going to get that price for Presenting Dylan tomorrow. It was a very good winner last time out, in Roscommon. It won with plenty in hand. It's still in around 5 or 6 pounds well in. It's facing horses that are sort of dipping in and out of form here. I would be seriously thinking that this horse is going to take some stopping. I can honestly say that it's going to be produced coming into the straight, and once that happens, it should be very hard caught. I'd be thinking that this horse is well capable of being a wide margin winner, and 7-4 is a crazy, crazy price. Nap of the day, I'm as confident as I probably ever was picking a nap. I think this horse is going to be something special now, especially the fact that it's still £5 well in, and yeah, it's obviously coming into form fairly nicely. 5:30. We're going to go last race of the day. We're going to go with another, I suppose, potential each way shout here. We're going to go with Eilish is the lady at 5-1. Um, and a fairly decent bumper, I must say. There's an awful lot of these have winning form in the books. Um, if I'm not mistaken, this favourite, Purple something or other, I can't think of the second part of the name, something purple or purple something. Um, it beat Conan Mustard last time out. I think it's Purple Mountain actually. The name is starting to come to my head. I think nearly sure it's Purple Mountain, but it beat this Conan Mustard who won in, where was it last day? Punchestown. A very nice sort of bumper in similar conditions, and it looks to be one worth mentioning. But the best price at a race really has to be this Eilish is a lady at 5-1. It was a 50-1 winner in Kilbeggan the first time it ran, and it subsequently backed it up in Galway next time out. There's obviously some serious class about this mare. She looks to be well able to hold her own in fairly decent company. You could argue that she's going up in class now again there today, but there's an awful lot of these that I suppose there might be a small little bit of hype and a bit of false excitement about them. Um, I think 5-1 is a great price. I think, we don't know where the limitations lie at the end of the day, and ground conditions are going to favour this mare massively, and she could be very much one to catch, and it should be very hard to catch her as well at the same time. 5-1 looks a very, very nice price. But that's it for me today. I'm going to finish it off. It's been a fairly long video, and I'm going to wrap things up by letting you know to make sure to keep liking, sharing, subscribing. As per usual, it only takes you a second to do, and it helps me out a long ways at the end of the day. But I'm going to finish it up there, and the very best of luck tomorrow if you're going to be having a bet.